Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Radio Oz with Metal Mike. Of course, I'm Metal Mike. Tonight's guest is DZ Crowell from Fervor, my dear. Welcome to
Hello.
the show, DZ.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here, and I've heard about your stacked schedule, so I'm glad I was able to be fit in.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, let's introduce yourself a little bit to the people, and then we'll move forward and talk about some things.
All right, so my name's DZ. I'm a singer-songwriter and electronic musician. I create some songs that are kind of experimental in nature while not forsaking pop sensibilities. A lot of 80s influence material. I call my music style darkly sentimental electropop. It's like it's got some 80s vibes to it, but thematically it's all about like nostalgia, sentimentality, but it's got a dark overtone. So some gothic overtones. So I really enjoy making music. I've been doing this. I took piano lessons way back in middle school, and I've been involved in several bands over the years. One of my most recent bands, Fervor, my dear. It's actually, I say band loosely. It's a studio project of mine, but I do have musicians who've played with me. And leading up to Fervor, my dear, I was involved in several other bands and projects. My very first serious one was called Heretic Historians Foundation. It was like a dark synth pop band, and we had a lot of fun with that one. Me and the other guys who wrote that stuff. But a few years ago, I kind of, matured in my faith a little bit. I felt like with Heretic Historians Foundation, the songwriting was great, but my heart wasn't always in the right place with it. A lot of it was arrogant. A lot of it was like an ego driven about trying to make me look good. And I felt convicted, about 4 or 5 years ago that might not be the most godly driver of my musical talent. So I kind of rededicated my music to the Lord about 5 years ago, and I decided I need a new name. So I came out with Fervor, my dear. And Fervor, my dear is not an exclusively Christian project, but it does have a lot of good themes through it, biblical themes, encouraging themes, and it just comes from a better place of heart. So Fervor, my dear is what I've been up to now primarily.
Okay. So I know you want you. We'll go back with leading them and leading up from them changing scenery, so to speak.
Yeah,
From changing directions. There was a lot of life that happened though in that time. Can we
there
discuss
was
that?
a lot of
Can we
life.
discuss that for a little bit before we get into what led the difference there?
Yeah, so back when I was in Heretic Historians Foundation, about 7 years ago or 8 years ago, I was diagnosed with end-stage heart failure. It's an advanced form of congestive heart failure, and it's what they call heart failure leading to death, meaning if you don't do anything about it, you will perish. It can't just be left alone and you expect you to live or have any quality of life. And that as a shock to me when I first found out I had it. I knew there was something wrong with me. I was always out of breath, always nauseous, always tired, always feeling terrible. But um, the thing is, I thought I was just because I may have been overweight or something. I was like, I don't know why I'm feeling this way. So I go to the doctor and they're like, yeah, you have end stage heart failure. And I immediately was like, wow, it was kind of a relief in a way. Cause I'm like, wow, there's actually something wrong with me. I would hate to feel this way if I'm healthy. But, but anyways, so, and they put me on medicine for a year. It didn't improve anything. In fact, I got worse. Then finally they said, look, we need to get you a new heart, but there's none available. So they gave me a device called an LVAD, a left ventricular assist device. For those in the audience who don't know, it's kind of been brought mainstream by a show called Scrubs, I've heard, because apparently in Scrubs, they have a patient regular who wears an LVAD, but I had never heard of one before they gave it to me. It's basically a pump that is surgically implanted in your heart, keeps the blood flowing, keeps you feeling better. And there's an external battery pack you have to wear 24/7. Even when showering, even when sleeping, it's always on. And you got to change the batteries every 6 hours or so to keep your heart going. And that was that five. I had the LVAD for 5 years. It was a challenging time for me. I felt kind of discouraged having to carry the background. I felt odd. I felt like there was even some times where I was kind of angry. Not I don't want to say angry God, but just frustrated with my situation. I was like, God, why is this happening to me? People kind of looked at me weird when I had it. And I felt like it was keeping me from reaching my full potential. So I was really discouraged. But then I'm kind of glad it happened because, well, pause there. I don't want to say after 5 years with the LVAD, came up in the transplant list, and I got a heart transplant. This was 2 years ago. So I had a full heart transplant. They cracked my sternum, took my whole heart out, put a new one in, and by some miracle kept me alive the whole time through modern medicine. But all this whole and then after the surgery, the transplant surgery, I went into a coma for about 4 days. I didn't wake up after surgery, even though surgery was a success. And the doctor's like, he's not even responding to like pinpricks on his toes. Doctor is very concerned with me. And then finally I woke up, praise God, 4 days later, and I didn't remember anyone or anything. I had amnesia. But after a couple of weeks, my cognitive ability and physical ability slowly came back, and they released me from the hospital. But that was the beginning of a year-long journey. It took me a year to fully recover post-transplant, because I was having some complications and rejection issues. But praise God, that's all cleared up, and I'm doing really well now. So, and interrupt me, Mike, if you have anything to ask or along the
I'm
way.
just listening.
Yeah.
But I'm going real quick, going back to your heart. I mean,
yeah,
and you're a tall gentleman, bigger
6'4".
gentleman.
Yeah.
So was that part of the reason they couldn't find a heart right away?
Absolutely. It's got to be a blood type match and approximate size match of the donor, like height and weight. And the thing is, you can get one from someone taller and bigger than you, but not someone shorter or smaller than you. So like for me, I had to get it from someone else who's 6'4" or taller. And there's not a lot of us.
Right.
But praise God.
That's why I asked, because I mean that's what we're being told as well, is it's got a match. I mean, with those descriptions. So you went through that year,
Mm-hmm.
and did it make your faith stronger, or did it make you just keep questioning more and more, because you went through all that 4 months or 4 days of coma, you went through rejection, and you was going through all that. So my question is, like I said, did it affect your faith walk?
Faith. How did it affect my faith walk? Yeah, so during the LVAD period, my faith kind of took a dip. And because I felt like I was kind of upset with God, and not even just because of the LVAD, but it kind of had a domino effect where I started questioning God's nature, questioning how God's reveals himself to other people. It wasn't just about me. I was thinking about kind of like how the world plays out, evil in the world, natural disasters. Just had me questioning God's whole nature. And I kind of got a little cynical towards God, maybe even a little bitter, while I had the LVAD. But that's why I'm glad the transplant happened and my recovery there, because I drew closer to God during the transplant recovery. And I attribute that to a couple things. First of all, I started getting more involved in my local church. Started going to church more. I started reading the Bible to myself a lot more, praying more, just getting more involved in God's word. And that's when I decided I needed to rededicate my music to Christ. Because with Heritage Restoration Foundation, I'm not saying it's like an evil project or anything. It came from a place of mind, a place of heart and mind that weren't positive towards God. And I tried to use it, like I said, a lot for ego reasons, to make myself look good. Even though the songwriting was great. So do you hear that music, by the way, Mike?
What's that? Do I hear it? No.
Do you hear music in the background? Okay, just making sure. There's a radio playing nearby. But anyways, then my faith in God improved, like just getting back in the Word, getting back in church, being around other Christians. And it made me see God in a whole new way. I stopped seeing God as someone who was out to get me, someone who hated me when I did something wrong. Started seeing him more as like a loving, empathetic father who understands me. And that was a radical mind shift. That's why I changed my music project to Fervor, My Dear. And the whole heart issue made me a very empathetic person. I care a lot about people, people from different backgrounds, different places in life. I want to understand people and care about people, and I want them to feel the hope I feel through Jesus. So
it's important. I mean, it's and the patience I've learned with our situation. Patience is hard to come by, because you're stressed and then so when you come through it, everybody asks me all the time how I deal with our family going through the trials we're going through with the same
Yes.
same kind of situation. Faith and
Mhm.
prayer's got me through a lot of that, and so I can relate
Absolutely.
to what you're saying there. And it's hard for, I mean, family just as well as the person that's going through it,
Absolutely.
and people don't realize what that does, because
Yeah.
the family's worried. The besides the patient, the family's
Yes.
just as worried and thinking he might be gone tomorrow. You know,
Right. It was
so
hard on my family. Yes.
so I mean, that's I mean, like I said, you just said yourself that it brought you closer, which is
Yeah.
amazing in its own way. Because, like I said, you're sitting there facing your own mortality daily,
Right. It
and
was scary.
yeah, and like I said, that goes back to your family. It's
Yeah.
scary for the family because the mortality is. I mean, thank God the LVAD's what it does is keeps you alive.
Right. It kept me
And
alive. Yeah.
right, and the mortality that's with that still. You think, oh, a cord could get pulled out by accident, and by the
Right.
simplest thing, people like you said look at you funny, don't understand it.
Yeah.
I tell people when I've described it with my son that he has an LVAD,
Mhm.
they're like, "What's that?" Oh, it's a heart pump. It's what's keeping him alive.
Right. So don't
It's
touch.
don't touch, don't. I mean, that's we were talking off camera is you worry about it catching on something. The simplest
Yep.
of things. You walk through a door, you don't want that door handle grabbing it,
Right. It was
Especially as
very
a guy, you getting out of the shower, the knob's on the shower.
Yep.
The simplest of things that we, if it being normal people would not think about, they'd be like,
They would not. No.
I mean, that simple pull. I mean, yeah, it would take a little bit to pull it, but
It could kill
I
you.
mean,
I mean, for lack of a
yeah,
better word.
yeah, and
That's the
within
perfect word,
minutes,
actually.
within
Right.
minutes, you
Mhm.
know, and that's what people. I mean, like I said, people don't understand. Going back to even before you were sick, you didn't. I mean, before you were sick, before you had it, you didn't have a clue what was going on.
Oh, for
You
sure.
know,
Yeah. No clue at all.
so with that, going back to that,
Mhm.
what what led to your heart problems? Do you know that, or was it just?
Yeah,
I,
that's the interesting thing. I have no history of family history of heart problems. And my doctors finally gave up on guessing on what caused it. They were like, we'll just move on to treating it because unless you got some sort of bad virus in the past or something that attacked your heart, which they couldn't find any proof of, but they gave up on trying to figure out what it was, and we don't know to this day. I had one like doctor come in who was writing his like he was getting a he was a medical assistant and getting his PhD in like diseases.
right.
And he was like, "Yeah, I'm studying how cave diving can give people heart failure." And I'm like, he's like, "Have you ever cave dived?" I'm like, "No," but they were even looking into stuff like that, because they had no clue what could have been
So
making it.
so you were going through COVID with this
I
LVAD,
was, yep,
and that had to be an experience on its own way.
it was. That was. I do not wish those days back. Um, you know, because we were all. I was working as a cashier at a grocery store at the time, and it was hard because the store was super busy, people stocking up for COVID and buying wipes and sanitization wipes and stuff, and people were rude. There's people everywhere. I don't like being around crowds because with the LVAD or with heart transplant, because I can get sick,
Right.
and
Immune
that can be bad.
compromised.
Immune, yes, but still, people just crowd around me, and I'm like wearing a mask, and we have a glass up. I'm like, please don't get too close to me, but and I had the LVAD all the time. I'm afraid people were trying to pull my LVAD. Like, it was not good. So I don't miss the COVID/LVAD days.
I'm sure. I'm sure. I don't miss them just in regular days anymore. With the way people
Right?
got.
Yeah.
I was classified essential through the whole thing. Worked through it all, so I get it. And
Yes.
and it wasn't. And like I said, people. I don't know what's happened to people since then. I mean, they've lost
Right.
their minds.
Yeah.
And like I said, they don't. They oh, be 6 feet away, and then but they're right up in your face.
Yeah.
So I don't get it.
Right.
So, anyways, moving on. So,
Yeah.
As you're sitting there for the year leading after COVID, I mean after
Yes.
COVID,
Or
after transplant,
post-transplant.
post
Yes, sir.
transplant, as you're studying and reading and praying and all that, how did that affect your songwriting at that point?
Well, at first it affected it very extremely. I told myself I was only going to write songs about the Bible or scripture inspired songs and lyrics. So I released an independent album called Treasures of the Dark as Fervor My Dear. That's the first Fervor My Dear release. This was before I was signed to ADWMR. And every song was inspired by a particular scripture, which I parentheses in the song titles. And at first I was like, this one I'm gonna do. It's gonna be all scriptural, all like, yeah, it's gonna be great. And it was a great album. That's what ADWMR discovered when they signed me. It was that album, Treasures of the Dark. But going forward, I realized, you can have music that glorifies God and has a positive message and the people enjoy without being straightforwardly in your face scripture the whole time. So while Fervor My Dear music is still I consider Christian in my own way, that music, but it's not in your face as much. I
Right.
take a little more freedom to write about other things that aren't scripturally inspired, and but it all comes from a better heart and headspace. I feel like,
Okay.
yeah,
So you're writing, you're transforming what you had began doing before
yes,
in your previous life. Let's put it as your previous life.
yeah, definitely.
So did you keep the same style moving
Musically,
from musically from one
project to Fervor My
program,
Dear.
from one project to your own project?
Very much so. The main thing was just the lyrics became a little bit more positive, and the I think the production value got better on Fervor My Dear. I got some better equipment. I got some professionals to help me mix and master. Um, but the songwriting and the musical style was very similar from my old projects moving into Fervor My Dear as well. It's all 80s inspired electronic pop with some dark overtones to it. So
So who were those influences?
yeah, I was hoping you'd ask. So as far as like back in the 80s into the 90s, I was born in 1990, so I never saw the light of day in the 80s, but I was a big fan of Depeche Mode, Devo, The Cure, Tears for Fears. I had a lot of bands like that I really enjoy, and they definitely, yeah,
I seen Tears for Fears about would have been 8, 9 years ago.
really
Yeah, and it was in this place in Louisville. It's called the Louisville Palace,
cool.
and you talk. It had the Gothic stuff on the side. I mean, you're
Yes,
talking early 19th, 20th century theater with the
right.
Gothic stuff inside, the Gothic ceiling.
Yes,
The best sound you ever heard.
that's amazing.
I mean, it was one of the best concerts I think I ever saw, and that was all thanks to Jamie Wallum, who is the current drummer.
Hmm.
So that was really cool. I enjoyed that show for sure. But I honestly can hear every one of those, and just even in the song I posted earlier today, "Sugar in the Glass." I hear and even live, I could hear all those influences you just mentioned in that song, and
Thank you
each
so
one of
much.
them individually, and that's saying a lot that you've took. I mean, because that's a collective. I mean, you look at it, the Cure's
Eclectic
got,
group, yeah,
it's a collective group, and every. I mean,
of artists, yeah,
but they're clumped into the same genre of
right,
80s alt rock, but there was electric rock. There was the electronics.
yeah.
You know, you can hear all those influences in just the live version, which says a lot in my opinion. Because typically in the studio you can make all those sounds,
Right.
but to pull it off live, when I saw you live with Autumn's Descent,
Yes, they played my
and,
backing instrumentation. Yeah.
right, and I heard, and that's me hearing you for the first time live. I
Yeah.
mean, I've listened to your music before, but hearing it live, just one song, I heard every one of those influences
That's so cool.
in a different way. I
Yeah.
heard, and I mean, I even got to think about that on the way home tonight because they actually had the Cure was on the radio,
Yep.
and I was like, man, does sound, and I'm like, man, yeah. I mean, we've already talked about the Depeche Mode off
Yeah,
camera because I could feel that in the other music, some of the other music. But to hear, like I said, then hear the Cure mixed in there, and I was like, yeah, that's there.
right. And
So
to
I
be
was like,
honest, Mike, yeah, I could even point out. I mean, I could write like a exposition on like I can point to specific things in my like elements of my music that's attributable to each of those
whoever.
video artists individually. You know, they've had such a profound impact on my songwriting. And I'd be amiss not to mention one other influence I have who became an influence in the 90s. This artist became active in the 90s. It was a Christian electronic band called Joy Electric.
Yeah.
Because honestly, before I heard Joy Electric, I wasn't aware of a lot of music like in the Christian music scene. There was some, but I just wasn't aware of it at the time, who made some of that synth-based melodic music.
Right.
It's like because like Ronnie Martin, like in a time when like dance music was becoming popular, Ronnie Martin was the frontman of Joy Electric. He was writing like melodic songs that weren't necessarily like songs you dance to in a club. They were electronic songs. They were just songs that were played on synthesizer, and that was a big inspiration to me too. Like I can make electronic music like these guys in the '80s and like Joy Electric. That's not dance music per se.
Right. Did you ever get to hear Rainbow Children?
Who?
Or not Rainbow Children?
Rainbow Rider?
Rainbow Rider,
Dance House
Dance House
Children. Yes, pre Joy Electric. I did.
Yes.
I have their CDs. They're old ones.
Yeah. So that's some early stuff right there.
That's early, yes.
If you want to go, another group, I don't know if you've heard of, is Mad at the World.
I know Mad at the World. You know, it's funny. Mad at the World, they were like an early like Christian influenced electronic band.
Yeah.
Ronnie Martin had a label called Plastic Music. It was a Tooth and Nail subsidiary for a short time. I love everyone on Plastic Music, and one of the guys from Mad at the World, were signed to that for a solo project called Mothership.
Yep.
So you should check that out if you're unfamiliar. But that's some really niche stuff. That's from a long time ago. But
yeah, we're dating myself now when I'm on that stuff. Because I remember all that stuff. I mean, Painted Orange.
Mm-hmm.
So, or how about Folds Endura?
Oh yeah, I like Mortal more, but I do like Folds Endura.
See, I like both. Luckily I've got to see Folds Endura in concert, but never got to see Mortal. But I've got all my autograph, all my Folds Endura and Mortal stuff is autographed. So
that's so cool.
So yeah, I've seen, but it's been, what year was that? 95, 96 ish. I've seen Folds Endura do a small set.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
So, but yeah, but a small they used to, back in the day, there used to be 6 or 7 bands would go out through Tooth and Nail, and they would go out and do shows. And I was like, back you don't hardly see that anymore with the label support. And all that.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's luckily with either KCF or Audio Feed, you got the Subculture stage, which helped with ADM and our the label helps out with.
Right. I know, it's a mouthful.
Yeah, it's a mouthful for sure. We'll talk to Ash about that sometime. But anyway, but yeah, I mean, that's one thing good about those festivals. I mean, at least they're giving you all a chance to get out there and perform.
Oh, absolutely. I'm so grateful for it.
Touring is hard especially nowadays, for any artist, not just Christian, or even artists of your caliber, because I mean, that's what I'm here for, is to get the word of mouth out there to help get people to see music that's similar to what they're listening to, or just to get the music out there, because
absolutely
the radio is almost non-existent for real territorial radio is non-existent for Christian rock, alternative rap, any of that.
It's really not. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
And then even online, it's far and few between. You know.
Yep.
So it gets a little hard out there. So I try to do my part to share and get you guys out there, and for everybody I talk to, not just you. I mean, that's one thing I did at KCF, just navigate, learn people, meet people, help introduce myself. So going back to your writings.
Yeah.
Another thing people don't realize is you are an author as another project that you do.
I am. It's interesting. I've been like writing short stories my whole life, but never really published them or anything. But a few years ago, actually when I had the LVAT, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna write a book, do my best, and upload it, see what people think. Because I never was as confident with my writing as I was with my music. Like with my music, I'm confident to the fact that I can share it publicly, and I don't care what people say. If people give me negative feedback, which they do sometimes, it doesn't hurt my feelings. But with the writing, like I'm kind of insecure about it in a way. I hate this being real, just because I haven't been doing it long and I haven't gotten much feedback on it. But I re- I released 3 books over the last few years, all fiction, all horror inspired. I'm a big horror fan. I'll be honest. I mean, there's a lot of horror movies and books I won't read or watch because they're too gratuitous and lack any edifying elements, but or
Right.
message. But there's a lot that I do enjoy. And these movies and books I've read and watched have come inspire me to write my own horror stories, inspired stories. So released a book called The Sapphire Frequency. It was my first book. It was like a sci-fi / horror / thriller novella about this evil entity that comes through audio frequencies to attack. And I just wrote this whole mythos surrounding it, this whole world building, and it got some good feedback too. Strangers bought it on Amazon and left good reviews. And honestly, I'd rather take like a 3 or 4 star review that's thoughtful than someone leaving 5 stars and just saying cool book. Because
Right.
like obviously a 5 star review that's thoughtful is the best, but I mean, I just like that people took the time, invested themselves in reading it and telling me their thoughts. That's always great. My most recent book was called The Remorse Engine. It's one I'm most proud of. I had it professionally proofread, so it's got pretty much no typos, unlike the first one. But which I'm like, I really should go back and fix that, but I'm like, I'm just gonna leave it in the past and move forward. But my new book, The Remorse Engine, I'm really proud of. It's a sci-fi / horror / thriller novella with a powerful message behind it. I feel like behind all this spookiness and kookiness. So all my books are on Amazon under DZ Crowell, if you search for it. But I have $5 paperbacks and $1 digital downloads. So there's my
Right.
plug for that.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey. I mean, it's like I said. I think looking and knowing you, the year that I've known you, 'cause
Hmm.
we started chatting about a year ago or so, and
Yeah.
and I'll say this publicly that you have helped me a lot in the last year. I will say that publicly. Understand what's going on with my son, why certain things happen certain ways, and all that. So, and I
Yeah.
thank you personally for that.
You're
Uh,
welcome. Thank you.
so, anyways, going back, so you started out. We're going to bounce back and forth. Sorry.
No
Okay.
worries. Time
So,
machine here.
right, time machine. It. I mean, we've talked about the '80s, but
Yeah.
and you were there. You weren't there, but I was.
I was. No.
Anyway. So, anyways, so as you were coming up, so when did you start performing music? How you said you were playing piano when you were younger?
Yes, I didn't start like I started songwriting probably around 2006 when I was 16. I recorded my first song in 2008 when I got my for my that's the year I graduated high school. And my parents for graduation gift bought me this MacBook, became a garage band. And I'm like, whoa, I got to figure out how to use this. And I just tried recording one of the songs I wrote. And the results were less than stellar, but hey, it was the first song I ever recorded and it was the road to better things. But um so yeah, I started songwriting in 2008, and then my band Heretic Historians Foundation started in 2013. That was my first like serious project / band that other people were involved in. We played a lot of live shows. I recorded tons of music under that project. I was the main songwriter, but the other musicians helped me during live shows. And it was just that band that lasted all the way up to for like 10 years, like 2023 or so. I started Fervor, My Dear, or moved in Fervor, My Dear, 2024. Um, but yeah, so I've been doing music for a long time. Writing started in 2006, recording 2008, first serious band 2013, then Fervor, My Dear 2023. So that's the
So,
timeline.
in the history of the first band, was that
Yeah.
still so it was a live band, but more a project for yourself as a
Yes. Yes.
like
The
like like
musicians who Yes, similar to Fervor, My Dear. I mean, the musicians who performed with me live didn't write any of the songs. They were just buddies who were helping me um, provide backing instrumentation for the live show, so it wouldn't all have to be on tracks.
right. Right. That's what I. So it's always been, so to speak, yourself writing,
Yes.
doing anything that you've put out there.
Mm-hmm.
So if something was recorded for the first project, it
Yeah.
was you. It wasn't.
Correct. It's all
It was.
me. And I learned a lot about music production over the 10 years I did my old band, or project. The first few albums were kind of cringy from a mixing and mastering standpoint, but then I kind of improved as that project went on. And the last few albums from Heritage Historians Foundation, I actually paid a professional to mix and master, which was a good move because those albums sound stellar. But and Fervor, my dear, now I know a lot more about mixing, and Ash from Moms Ascent has been kind enough to master my material for free. So, and he does a great job with that. Really polishes them. So I have more to learn about mixing and mastering, but I have a good support system.
Yeah. So I mean, and you're hooked up with a bunch of people that know are similar in style,
Right.
or are a one man band, so to
Yes.
speak. Not to knock any of those guys and gals, because there's
Oh, for
gals
sure, for
involved
sure.
too.
Yeah.
But they've all got something similar. So you got people you can you got your own community with the label now.
Oh, the label's such a community, yeah, and we help each other.
Yeah.
Like, we Ash will mix and master if we need it. Josiah from Firebrand helps do video editing for us. We have a new signee, which I'm not going to mention yet. Well, I can't even say what that signee does because that would maybe hint to who they are. So never mind. But you'll find out in time. But I mean, everyone on the label contributes to everybody else in a certain way, and it's a good community for
Right.
sure.
I mean, yeah, that's one thing I've noticed with everybody on there, that there's always been some kind of camaraderie
Oh yeah,
with everybody. I mean, even going back, I mean, just recently, I mean, when they had the Hadaconi tribute show, rest in peace,
yeah,
Dave. We miss you,
yeah.
brother. Um, that the community of the label came together and did the tribute shows for him,
Yes.
and even though, I mean, you had Autumn Descent doing the majority of the music live with
Right.
Larva,
Mm-hmm.
but you also had different singers and a couple
From
from
different
the
bands, yeah.
label or from other bands. That
Right. Other bands,
the
yeah.
community that we all have or are a part of, getting back in. I've been in and out of it for 39 years, so
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of change, a lot of bands come and go. I've seen labels come and go. I've seen, you name it.
Yeah.
But this label and this community as a whole
Mm-hmm.
is tighter than I think they have ever been. You
Oh, for
know,
sure. And
you know,
yeah, I feel like even if the label itself was ever to like shut down, like God forbid, I don't think it'll happen. I mean, I hope not, but I mean, I don't think the community would dissipate because it's really become something even more than the business LLC ADWMR,
right.
and it's an amazing thing. So, and if could touch really quick, Mike, you
You're
know,
fine.
when I think a lot about like my songwriting, like even though like I'm really not a producer, I mean, I do produce my stuff, but like I don't know a lot about mixing and mastering. I've been learning, but I'm a songwriter at heart, and I think that's what drew the label to me. Like I love melody. It's my favorite element of music. I mean, they all work together, but I love melody, and there's something about melodies that are like powerful and more than catchy, yes, but also powerful and moving that can just magnify whatever message the lyrics are bringing. So I try to have like, so I love working with melody and other elements of music to create a song that, like I said earlier, is kind of experimental and different, but still not forsaking kind of some catchy pop sensibilities. And so I'm able to focus on that, my songwriting. And while I still learn more about the production side, the label's happy to help me with that. So it's really great. Like the areas where I'm weaker in, they step in and help.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I said. That's one thing I've been impressed with the label is like I said, the camaraderie, the
Yeah.
help. I mean, as an outsider seeing that since the beginning, even
Yeah.
before you joined the label, that Ash was always helping. Josiah was helping.
Yeah.
You know, they all came together, and Dave and Monica and so forth.
Yep.
You know, they all came in, and it's like, hey, like you said, help me with the video, help me with promotion, help me this, help me
Yep.
that. You
Mm-hmm.
know, work together to get the word out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's great.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you don't see that. I mean, even in the normal music market,
Right.
how often do you really see? I mean, you see artists working together, but I think their
Yeah.
end goal is all about the mighty dollar. You know,
Exactly. And which it's not at ADWMR. I mean, because it's much more than that. And I was
yeah,
thinking, like, I was having an anonymous conversation. Not it was anonymous here on the show. I'm saying with
right,
someone from signed to an R label who was like, "Man, I don't even talk to my label mates. I barely even talk to the label ownership except when necessary." But I'm like, I can't even imagine that. You know, it's so different than that on ADWMR. So
yeah. I mean, you're now seeing another. I mean, you do have another one other label that I know that's trying to do the same thing. We won't
yeah,
mention names because I don't want to be caught in politics,
sure,
but
sure,
not politically, not as a Republican Democrat, but music business
yeah,
politics, because that
right,
happens,
right,
unfortunately, because that's just the way the music business works. Is that there are clicks.
right. Oh,
Right.
definitely.
So, but that's one thing. I mean, and they're doing shows periodically, like quarterly or monthly or whatever they're trying to do. And I'd love to be able to see you guys be able to pull something like that off. But like you said,
I
we
would
said
love that
earlier,
too.
about we were talking about different people. I mean, you have full time jobs. You just can't. Most of them have full
Right.
time jobs. They can't just
Yeah.
drop and go. They can do the 2 weeks during the summer, or the 3 weeks during the summer, or three
Yep.
weekends of summer for this spot date at a festival, that spot at a festival, and that spot at a festival. But to get them out, get y'all got you all about 3 or 4 of you out for a bigger show, it's hard to do. You know,
Oh,
you're in
for sure.
Georgia, Ash is in Indiana, Josiah's
Right.
in
Kentucky.
Kentucky. You
Right.
know, and
Yeah. We have other
you
artists
know,
from other places,
right.
like
You got
Charter.
one from Italy, so
Right. She can't exactly take the bus down here.
yeah. So, but it's good to see, like I said, though, even with her, everybody works together. You know, regardless
Yes.
of where you're at in the country, wherever you're at in the world, you're working as a team. You know,
Right.
and for one common goal. You know,
Yep.
to spread the gospel in the electronic music way. You know, and
For
then
sure.
so. But anyways, I go. We go all over the place, but so you're coming into to the LVAD, and that makes you not. We said not the right word's not angry, but just questioning
I'm
like,
very questioning, and I mean,
you
I've
know,
always been a questioning person, but it got to the point where I was questioning hard even more.
right.
Eh,
So
yeah, and it didn't
that
help. Yeah,
go ahead.
it didn't help that I also people have heard me before. People close to me know this, but I do have bad OCD as well, and that exacerbates everything. So it
I'm
just
sure
made
it is.
yeah,
Especially it's like, oh, I got to make sure this is cleaner than I ever thought it would be clean.
right, exactly,
So, and it gave you an excuse to be OCD.
right.
So, when you were writing at that point,
Mhm.
you said you were getting away from music because life just hit you hard when that
Yeah.
happened.
Hmm.
So, when were you still writing music, even though you weren't releasing anything, just to let
I
your
was.
thoughts out in ways, your anger or your questioning?
Yes. Yeah, I was still writing songs. A lot of them were very like deep personal songs about how I was feeling about God and about life and all this metaphysical stuff like even like the nature of existence. I was just thinking all these deep thoughts and writing about them. And I actually a group of the songs I released on Spotify as my old band a couple of years recently since I wrote them just for hardcore fans of my old band to check out. And it's some of the
Right.
darkest stuff that project ever um, produced. But it's I don't think it's unhealthy particularly to write like that when you're feeling that way. You know, it's if you look like the Psalms in the Bible, like David was in a bad situation in life, and he wrote about it. He wrote how he felt, you
Yeah,
know.
for
And I
sure. For
did the
sure.
same thing. And I'll be honest, that music I wrote during that period, like secretly, which I did release later on, um, it may not, you know, it's not something I'd ever do again, probably, but it was good to get out. It was really
Yeah,
good
I
to get
mean,
it out of the system.
sometimes that's the best therapy. Sometimes,
Oh yeah,
they say talk to a counselor. Well, counselor can only do so much.
yeah,
You got. I mean, music. I mean, music is my release for my
yeah.
when I get. I mean, my music depends on my mood I'm listening to that day. Might go from some anger management type music that people's like, why are you listening to that? Well, I need to let something out some way without hurting someone.
Yeah, if I give you an example, Mike, like I was kind of feeling mad at God at the time, but I felt like I got to redirect my anger somewhere else. I felt like I just says how my mind state was, and now I know now, God's okay with us being open with Him about how we feel. But at the time, I was kind of scared, like, is God going to be mad at me because I'm frustrated with Him? So I wrote this song trying to redirect all my anger towards like the devil, and I wrote
Right.
this song. It's actually my number one song for the other project. People love it, but it was a song about like the devil and like demons at the final judgment getting damned to hell and stuff. And I was
Right.
just like, this is gonna like that was one of the dark songs I ever wrote, but like people love that song. But anyways, that was just me letting that just showed what was going on in my mind at the time. I'm like, I gotta let this anger out somewhere. Um and and it was an unhealthy time for me because I know now, I can be open with God about how I feel. I don't need to withdraw it from God. I don't need to redirect my anger. I can just wait for it to pass. I
Right. Well, I've talked to somebody before. I can't remember who
Yeah.
it was. It's been a while, but I've always been taught that at that point it clicked with me. Talk to God he like you would talk to a normal person
Amen.
without
Yeah.
without the these and thous and such.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Just have a
Have a
conversation. Like we're
conversation. Yeah.
yeah, just like me and you're having a conversation right now. That's the way you need to talk to God.
Yeah.
And
And
if
that
it comes out
realization, yeah.
right, and if it comes out angry, he'll understand.
He'll understand exactly. And it's
Yeah,
my relationship with God has gotten so much better since I came to that realization that he's not, out there trying to mad at me for being frustrated at him.
right. I mean, he's not. He hates. He doesn't like you sinning, but he knows you're going to. You know,
Right?
concept.
Yeah.
It's like he knows what's going on before you even tell him.
Yeah.
But if you, I think I've always felt better when I just lay it all on the line, as simple as I can,
Mm-hmm.
even if I'm angry.
Yeah.
Like God, I had a bad, horrible day.
Yeah.
Why did you let this happen to me? Or I can't really go say why'd you let this happen, but thank you for letting me get through it today. Or I could and held my tongue
Yes.
for that minute. You know,
Absolutely. And I
you know
feel
what?
better after I laid off for God and he comforts me, I feel like, post prayer. So
Right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, a lot of people think, oh, I know people. I've met people, and I can't say I agree with it completely, but
yeah.
they're sitting there and they use the language, the coarse language when they're praying. But sometimes I understand that because that's the way they communicate. So,
Right.
so I can't sit there and condemn them for that because they are just trying to be honest.
Right.
And that's not, sometimes, I mean, like I just said, you got to be honest with yourself. You got to
Yep.
be honest with what you're saying to him. I mean, if you're
Right.
not honest, not in the honest mindset,
Right.
you're just praying to thin air in a sense, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. And I was always so afraid that like I was being blasphemous by letting God know how I felt that I was like I thought like I felt like I was in the Old Testament where the priests would go into the Holy of Holies and they get struck down and get
Right.
dragged out by a rope. So I was like, I don't want God to be mad at me. I always thought I was like that every time I prayed. Like, and I was so careful not to say anything that might make God upset at me. But that's a total falsehood. Like open communication with God is a wonderful thing, no matter how you're feeling.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm 100% with you there. But like I said, yeah, we were. I mean, some denominations, and that's what they teach you. It's like
Mhm.
you got to do everything's got to be this way.
Right.
Like you just said, David murdered someone. he had an affair,
Mm-hmm.
and other things that he did throughout his life that we've
Yeah.
seen, but he still came and finally said, "God, forgive me. I've
Right.
done
He
horrible
acknowledged it. Yeah.
things." But the way he communicated that in the
Mm-hmm.
Psalms, I mean, they're not a pretty sight,
They're not. No.
you know. And people I think people get blinded by that, you know.
Yeah.
They forget about the story of Bathsheba and her husband that he
Yeah.
went off to be killed, you know, and so they forget that. But they're
Mm-hmm.
thinking, oh, David wrote this beautiful psalm. Did you really dig deep into that psalm? You know,
Right.
there's not many psalms that are beautifully written. I mean, even
Right.
the basics of Psalm 23,
Right.
they're talking about death, straight up
Yep.
death.
Yeah.
You know, when you hear that psalm mentioned, the first
You
things
think
that most people
green
think of,
pastures? Yeah.
yeah, but you think about being at the funeral home,
Right.
listening to someone that has died,
Mm-hmm.
and you know that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Oh
But
yeah,
then,
for sure.
but then when I hear Psalms 150, I start thinking about the heavy music that I listen to on a typical basis. You
Right.
know, so there's a big catch there that people just don't comprehend,
Yeah.
and and so you have to. Each person reads it differently, anyways.
Yeah.
But we discussed that earlier on our private conversation. But where you should find that fine line that it is all praise
Yeah.
in a different form. Each one of those is a different.
Absolutely.
And like I said, people lose that, and that's one thing. Going back to your music, you call it dark wave or dark synth,
Yeah.
and a song might be deeply dark,
Oh yeah.
and but you got to look for the hope in there.
Absolutely. Think about like, um, and I wanted to share this album with you sometime. But the album Treasures of the Dark, the first Fervor My Dear album that came out before I was signed with the label.
Right?
It was all about that. It's like treasures of the dark is like hope you find in the dark. That's kind of the analogy. So, and I wrote about. So I agree 100%.
Well, that's
If
why I
you
brought that up because that's what I was going for. Because, like I said, people look at something that's dark or sounds dark,
right,
regardless if it's deep, dark, heavy metal or if it's deep, dark, ambient music, or
yeah,
even, like I said, goes back to Psalms, plain and simple.
right,
It's the same
yeah.
concept, but people just they lose it because they don't understand it.
Oh, of course,
But like I said, that hope is what we all need to look for. There's that light
the
at the end
hope,
of the tunnel.
absolutely.
So coming out of the LVAD, you're not per se you're angry, but you're not totally angry. So you're writing music that is just letting your heart speak.
Yes,
Less than a better term, but that's
right,
basically what it is your heart talking because
right,
your heart's hurting, your heart's failed you,
yep,
for lack of a better terminology here. But so you're going through the depression that they talk about with this. You're
yes,
talking, you're going through the deepest, darkest time. You, like I said, facing mortality,
yep,
and then all of a sudden you get a call and say, "Hey, we found you a heart."
yep.
2 years later, 5 years later, sorry, 5 years later. That's a long time to be worrying.
It
And
was
I
very
hurt,
long.
to worry and fight that never-ending battle.
Yeah,
So when that shift happened from anger, so to speak, you said it's not really anger, but
right.
you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where it completely, it's like, was it a day that you can look back and say, hey, your mind completely changed the way your thought on that?
Yeah, well, it really occurred. Maybe not a specific day, but there were a couple of moments, like right before I had the heart transplant, I started getting back into church. I didn't know the heart transplant was about to happen, and that improved my mind state. During the surgery, leading up to the surgery, like I prayed a lot, like all night long before my surgery happened, because I got there, but I wasn't like immediately on the table. I wasn't immediately on the operating table. Like
Right.
the night before when they found out the heart was there, I was praying. I realized my life's in God's hands, and like I was brave, and it wasn't until I was laying on the table about to be put under to have the test, to have the surgery done, the transplant. That's when I finally cried. I'd start tearing up right as they were putting me to sleep. I'm like, this is it. I might not wake up in this world. But that when I woke up and I finally went through the recovery process, I started realizing that I have only God to thank for I do you hear that music now?
Now I do. Yes,
I'm sorry. I don't know who's doing that, but um
you're fine. It's not
okay.
loud. There it
All
goes.
right. But lost my train of thought, but yeah, it was the change of mind. And I just started depending fully on God for started realizing he's the only reason I'm still here. And then even when I went through trials after that, like when my heart went into rejection, new heart went into rejection, my body wasn't accepting it. And then it was interesting, like I didn't get mad at God that time. I was sad that my heart was rejecting, but I felt like God was there with me. I felt a peace that I didn't feel with the LVAD. Felt I later had some bad issues with like other things that was attributable to the heart surgery, but it all I viewed God as someone to help me through it all instead of someone to be angry at, and it was just an amazing shift. So
So it was over time. It wasn't
it was
just
over time. It wasn't over a moment.
so within so probably. I mean, like I said that. I mean, and a lot of people don't understand that either because, like I said, they've not been through what you're going through. So it's kind of hard
Right.
to. I
Yeah.
mean, without going through something traumatic like that, and nobody really, I mean, will not understand completely. So,
Yeah.
so you came out of that and recovery, and I mean, like I said, we're 2 years out.
Yeah.
Musically, writing wise, you've changed, but
Hmm.
lyrically, you've changed. Musically, you haven't.
Musically, I haven't. It's still the same type of music. It's synthesizer based. It's dark and brooding. It's emotional. It's always been that type of music. Always heavily focused on melody. Um, as the driving force behind the song. Yeah, so it's been the same type of music, really. I did in the past experiment with some hip hop in my songs. Like I do some rapping in some of them, but I moved away from that. So
Was your white boy rapping? As they call it?
yeah, I like to think of it more as me doing some fast spoken word poetry, but
All
people listen to it and it's like, man, he's rapping. I'm like, I don't like to think of it like that, but
right.
nothing against rap or hip hop, but
Right. Well, I mean, you put it out there that you would work for a rap label if you could. So
yeah,
you never know. You never know
right.
where your connections could lead. You know, the
Hmm.
next full album or next music could be having an actual rapper and doing a chorus or something or a verse. I'm not a chorus, but a verse.
Right.
So it'd be
Hey, you sure you don't hear that, right?
yes, I hear that. Sounds like an airport.
Is it distracting?
No,
Okay, I could maybe try to find a different room really quick, but
no, you're fine.
sorry.
You're
But carrying
good.
on, yeah, like, and I have a lot of new music in the works through ADWMR. I've been doing an album called Beneath Oranyezel coming out next summer, God willing, and it's like a dark synth ghost story, but with a good positive message behind it. So it's going to be exciting.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
Yeah,
So. So let's go. Let's just change the subject here completely. You were
for
talking about
sure.
horror movies,
Yeah,
and if you listen to a lot of horror movies, there is a lot of that under music in a
yeah.
lot of movies is almost synth to a point, wouldn't you say?
Oh,
And
absolutely. I agree.
so what's some of your favorite horror movies that you
All
can
right,
stand
so
to watch?
some these are some of my favorites. They're not really recent releases, but even though I watch a lot of horror, they're not. It's not every day that I see one that I'm like, oh, this is one of my favorites. But I love A Quiet Place. Um, it was a really good one. I love
That
The
was
Descent.
interesting. That was interesting for sure.
Yes.
The scent.
Um, The Descent.
Yeah.
I also love the second The Purge movie. I wasn't crazy about the whole series, but the second one had some really good moments in it.
Right.
Um, um, I'm a fan of the Conjuring series, which is the more recent series.
Right. Like,
Um, and I like a lot of like older stuff, like from the '80s and stuff. Like, even though I found lately there's been a trend in horror called elevated horror, which is more like horror that's has depth to it, more depth to the storytelling, more depth to like a message or theme behind it. And elevated horror is really what I like. And that trend didn't start to the last 10 years or so. Like if you think about horror from the 80s, it was all kind of campy schlock, a lot of it. Not all of it, but
and a lot of
some
slashers, a lot
a
more
lot of slashes
slashers.
stuff, yeah. And I'm not even crazy. I don't even really like, when elevated horror kind of became a thing, horror that has like a message to it. I really like
Right.
that.
Yeah, like you said, it goes back to The Conjuring.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we're big horror fans around here. Um,
Yeah.
so we've got we have the thing called Fandango, where you can
Oh
buy
yeah.
movies for digital, and we've
Uh-huh.
got that's all I sit. We watch a lot of horror, a lot of horror. We're actually going to a horror. We went to a horror con last year,
Oh nice.
so got to meet Doug Bradley, Pinhead.
Uh-huh.
Got to
Oh
meet
yeah.
him. Got to meet
Yep.
uh, Bill Moseley. Um, and a couple other guys. Let's see,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
trying to
I love
remember.
Bill Moseley.
Yeah.
Have you
So,
heard of yeah.
and-
Have you
so
heard of Repo the Genetic Opera?
yes, that's
Yeah, Bill
hilarious.
Moseley was in that, he played
Yeah.
one of the characters. Oh, nice.
I turn it here. Nope, wrong one.
Yes, very oh wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, really nice guy. Really, really nice guy.
Yeah. And
So,
I can
but yeah,
say
we're going to get again this year. Where my wife's looking forward to meeting. I can't remember to say his name to save my life. But have you ever watched the show From?
yes.
The
I don't
the guy that's
remember.
the lead actor, the black guy.
Yeah, I know who you're talking
Yeah,
about.
she's looking forward to meeting him.
That's exciting.
Sam Raimi's going to be there.
Oh yeah, very nice.
Eli Roth's going to be there, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, we had a blast last year, so we're going to go back again this year. So,
That's
but yeah,
awesome.
what's your thought? Talking about horror, what's your thoughts on Stephen King?
I've read many of his books. And this might I don't want to, piss off any Stephen King fans. You may see this, but a lot of them I read thinking this is gonna get good any second now, and then before I know it, I'm at the end. I'm like, when did it get good? Don't hate me, don't come at me. I did like a lot of his works. Mainly his short stories. I've read many of his short stories, and a lot of them I feel like got right to the point and were great. Um, some of the longer novels kind of lost me, and that may be more of a reflection on me than him. So I do like Stephen King a lot. I really he had a compilation called "You Like It Darker" that came out a couple years ago. It was a book,
Right.
a collection of his short stories, and there was one short story in there. I don't remember what it was called. It was very scary about a war vet who ended up getting involved in the science experiment about dreams. It was a good story. Very scary and very well written. And then
I
I
was just
also
wondering, we were talking about horror, so
yeah, and I gotta say one other thing. Clyde Barker, he had a book called Books of Blood, which is a collection of short horror stories, and some of those are very good too. Very well written, very
yeah,
scary. So yeah, I like a lot of horror. Like I said,
yeah,
some
yeah.
of it does cross a line that I don't like consuming, but I like a lot of it.
I like the ones that make you think.
Absolutely. Right. And that goes back to
You
the
know,
elevated horror aspect.
right?
Yeah.
But this was even before that. But the
Yep.
stuff that would mess with your head or mess with your psyche more than anything. They weren't
Yeah.
one. They weren't technically bloody. They
Right.
just they were a mind screw. So
Mhm.
that's the kind I like more than anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I like a good slasher every once in a while, but
Yeah.
it's few and far between. But I like so they're like Pandorum,
Uh-huh.
stuff like that. I
Yeah.
loved Alien, the original
Oh, I love
Alien.
Alien. I love the whole
You know,
Alien series.
that's classified horror plus sci-fi.
Right.
But
Right.
same thing with Pandorum and Event Horizon, stuff
Event
like that.
Horizon. I was gonna say when you said Pandorum, I had Event Horizon in my head for some reason, but then I remembered because of
There's
the
two different
sci-fi.
movies. Yeah, but there's
Yeah.
like sci-fi, and like I said, they both
Right.
mess with your mind a little bit.
Yes. And I love the
So,
Twilight Zone was an old TV series.
oh, Twilight Zone is probably my top favorite TV show of all time.
Yes,
Rod
that's so great. I
Serling was
love
a
it.
genius,
Yes.
and I love Alfred Hitchcock. Both, uh, I mean Hitchcock, even his TV series, The Outer Limits stuff. Like I
I
said, it
love
goes back.
Outer Limits. Yep.
Like I said,
Like
that's stuff that messed with your head.
yes,
Made you like, what did I just watch?
absolutely.
I
Love me
mean,
some Tales of the Crypt too, in
so
moderation.
yeah, yeah. Some of that can be corny. Some of that got
Very
corny.
corny, yeah. But Twilight Zone really made you think.
Yeah, like I said,
Love
Rod
it.
Serling to me was a genius writer and so underrated that people don't talk about today.
Yes.
I think I think that's some of those stories that he read because I read some of his other stories. They should make some of those movies,
Yes.
And if somebody can find to do them right, that's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
With any movie, if you got to do it right. Going back to Stephen King, some movies are
Oh,
great, some
and some
movies
not
are
so
not.
great. Right. I mean, irrespective of the source material, some of the movies just weren't made well. So I
No.
know what you mean.
So what's you said you got a new album coming out hopefully in the summer, but you'll be
Yes.
releasing singles coming
Well,
up. You got the
yes. So my new Glass in the Sugar, which is a song I played with Autumn's Descent at Kingdom Come Festival this past summer. Um, that first single is coming out next month. I have it on my Bandcamp page now, but it will be available to be streamed and played on some radio stations later in the month. And it's a powerful song. It's probably my favorite songs I've ever written. And it's kind of about the themes like in the Bible, in the New Testament, it says all things may be permissible, but not all things are beneficial. And that's kind of the point of it is like, just because you can do something, you got to think about, should I? I mean, because there are consequences to our actions. Some things may glorify God more than other things. You just got to think about what you do. You don't want to be like, and sometimes people try to push the envelope, and I'm not against drinking, but like some people will be like, I'll just take a few more drinks before you know it, they're drunk. Um, it's just like I try to think about, like there's bad things that can come from what feels good, and that's
right.
kind of the theme of Glass in the Sugar. So
Okay. So what? So how many are you going to release? Like try to do quarterly singles until the
yes,
album, or
so this is what I got. So Glass in the Sugar now, and then in January of next year, I'm releasing a second single, and those will be the only two leading up to the album in next summer. Now, I do have other music in the works that's independent from this album. I have a new original Christmas song that's going to come out this November. I have a couple other kind of more praise and worship oriented songs as part of my Glass Hymnal line of singles. They'll be out later this year. I don't think I mentioned that, but I have a line of singles called the Glass Hymnal, which are praise and worship singles, biblically inspired. I got a couple more of them coming out this year. So a lot of Fervor, My Dear, on the horizon.
what about going back to your novellas? You got any more planned on that, or you just
Yes, I've got several outlined out. I just need to sit down and write them. I have a very structured writing style. I start with like writing like an outline, and then I go in and put the meat on the bone. So I have a lot of outlines written, but I just got to fill them in.
right? So you got a lot on your plate,
I do.
so which is good. I mean, it keeps you busy, keeps you on your toes, keeps
Right.
your mind fresh. That way, you're not sitting there dwelling at, oh, I had a
Yes.
transplant. Don't let it slow you down.
Right.
You know, it's like
Hmm.
we were talking earlier off camera. You have a day job.
Yeah.
And that helps probably keep you
It
active
does.
and keeps you focused on. Hey, I
Yeah.
can do this. I can move forward.
And I also volunteer at my church a lot. I run audio on Sunday mornings. I help with the podcast and other media things the church does. I come in every week to prepare the pastor's sermon slides for the Sunday morning sermon. So I'm not paid for any of that, but I do it just to serve and to keep my time occupied. So
Right.
there's a lot I do to stay occupied.
That's like I said with the
Yeah,
situation at hand. That's very good.
yeah,
So so that's good to hear that you're keeping busy. You're focused
yeah.
again. I mean, because like I said, that is a not just to use the words, but it is a life altering
Oh,
situation.
definitely.
But
Yeah,
it is to me, and you'll probably agree, it's brought out the best in you.
it has.
You
And
know, and coming to terms with a lot of things.
oh, definitely with my mortality, with my relationship with God. Like I've come to so many realizations, like, and getting back into the Bible has been a big part of it. Like I used to read the Bible once in a blue moon. I mean, I hear it at church, but I wouldn't read it for myself. But in the last few years, I've really been reading it for myself, and it's had a positive impact upon my psyche, my this is my life, my lifestyle. It's been great. So I hate to say it, but I almost feel like this might be bad theology, but I feel like the whole heart issue may have been like God trying to reset me or something, like maybe factory default. Like
That's what I was going to earlier. That was what
yeah,
I was going with earlier. You finally hit the wall that you were supposed to hit. You know
yes,
that it's like you weren't totally living bad per se,
right,
but you were not where you were supposed to be.
exactly.
You were doing what I call a Jonah experience. You didn't
Oh,
listen
for
from the get
sure.
go. You didn't listen from the get go. So this is what's going. This is going to sound like bad theology, but
It's all
this is
right.
what God put you through.
Yeah, and
You know,
I don't have any regrets about it. I don't know where I'd be now if I hadn't gone through the heart issues. Probably being in a very ungodly place, I'd imagine. And I feel like God can use our suffering for positive reasons. As much as I hate to say that, 'cause I hate to think from a theological aspect that God caused anyone to suffer. I don't know if he does or not, but like he can use the suffering for good, regardless
yeah,
of what its origination was.
I understand that. Mhm.
Yeah. And like my OCD too. I mean, it's been the OCD battle's been just as strong as the heart battle. Like what it puts me through and what I deal with on a daily basis. But I mean, the OCD made me a more empathetic person. I care a lot about people. Like I sometimes I just get overwhelmed with emotion when I see people. I'm like, I kind of feel like how they're feeling. It's a weird sensation, but like I care a lot about people. I care about how people feel. Yeah, and that's all it can be boils down to. My OCD, they made me understand care about people more than I did before.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that. Or you you said not. We're going to wrap it up here in a few minutes, but
No worries.
let's
Yeah.
backtrack. Let's backtrack just for a moment. When there was something you just said.
Yes.
You were talking earlier where you said you had family. We haven't touched on that much, but
Yeah.
you said was your family right there with you through all this? Then so you weren't alone per se.
Well, my parents were and my son was, and I'm not gonna mention any names, but I was married at the time, and I was divorced at the time. I became divorced during this trial,
Oh
and
man,
that hurt me very bad. That whole situation. I won't go into any specifics, but like it made it
I'm not saying
worse.
to go into specifics, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that I can see that putting your headspace
Very bad place.
not
Very bad
in
place.
the place. I was gonna say in the toilet.
Right. Even worse than it would have been just going through the heart issues, and the
Exactly.
OCD, and that really messed in my head a lot. The whole divorce and the timing of the divorce was
That's what
terrible.
I'm
Couldn't have
saying.
been
Yeah, for
worse.
sure, for sure. That's
Mhm.
why I was asking about family because
Yeah.
I getting into your personal page, I didn't never see
Yeah.
a spouse in the picture, and
Right. No spouse. Yeah.
but like I said, but I did not see a picture. I think of your son a couple days ago. I think you posted.
Yeah. Yeah. I have an 8-year-old son just started third grade, and I love him
Yeah,
so much, and he was there for me during the hard times.
so
He
he
was there.
understood what's going on and what that did with you. So I mean,
Yeah, and
that
it's so
was
cool.
starting at a young age, seeing that.
Yeah, I had the LVAD as long as he's been alive. I mean,
Pretty much,
and
per
then
se.
pretty
Yeah.
much, yeah. I mean, I had it when he was born, just about. And it's like when he was little, he'd draw every time he drew a picture of me, he'd draw an LVAD in the picture because as far as he knew, that was just a part of
Oh,
me. Yeah, I always had it, and never went anywhere without it. So, but yeah, so
that's cool.
my parents have been very helpful to me. Like when I was getting back on my feet after surgery, they really helped me a lot. They let me live with them rent free, which I don't take for granted in the slightest, because I couldn't really work or anything. I mean, I needed someone to take care of me, and they took care of me.
Right. I completely get that.
Yeah.
I mean, like we talked about earlier, my son's right outside the door here,
Yes.
and he's got the LVAD.
Yes, and I don't belittle how much of a struggle that is. The
So,
LVAD.
yeah. So, so, going forward. Now we'll
Yes.
bounce back to where we were at because, like I said, that's
Sure,
one thing I
sure.
forgot to touch on earlier.
Yeah.
So, and it is hard. It's got to be hard to go through all that. And I'm glad you did.
Thank
So,
you.
but anyways, going forward, so we got music, we got
Yes.
novellas somewhere in the picture down the
Yes.
road, maybe a year, within the
Oh,
year.
within a year for sure.
So, what else we got going on? Anything else that you got that's in the
Well,
work besides all that?
yeah, well, I've written an entire musical. I wrote the script, I wrote the written the music, and I've recorded some demos for it. And I've always wanted to get this music. I wrote it a few years ago, but I've been perfecting it over the years. I really want to get it produced somehow. I don't know how, because that it's going to involve a lot of. It also means a lot of money, but I'm trying to think about how I can do it on a budget, produce it, and release it on YouTube or something,
Right.
and then as like a musical movie. Even though it'd be a great like stage show too, I see it more practically being done as like a musical video, music, like a visual production I can put on YouTube. But I'm gonna try to do it in a way that's as budget friendly as possible without looking like garbage visually. And
Right.
so I'm just working on that now, talking to some people because I really want to produce this musical. It's a dark one, of course, no surprise there, but it has a very good message about finding your passion and finding purpose and where you can ultimately look for purpose. So I really want to get that produced. I think it could bless a lot of people if they saw it.
Right.
Um,
Well, would you ever think of this? Is just a thought throwing out there. Look at
yeah,
like doing. You're talking about doing a long form video. What about just breaking up the story by chapter and make a
like
video
releasing
each
it
time?
episodically. Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought about that too. That'd be an easier way to go about it for sure.
So it's just an
Yeah,
idea. But like I
it's a
said, that'd
great
be
idea,
cool.
and it's one I've been thinking of actually. So thank you for affirming what I was thinking.
So
Yeah.
we're going to close up for the evening, but I want you to tell people if you got anything else you would like to say to everybody out there, you can say it, and then we'll
Yeah.
go from there and close up and tell people where we can find you. So,
Yes.
so say
So,
whatever else you want to say. You can say the floor is open. Whatever you feel
all
you
right.
ready to say.
Thank you, Mike. So I always close out any interview with just saying, I'm a flawed person. I've had a flawed past, and I've been through a lot physically and mentally. And despite it all, though, I can say, I mean, I found no greater purpose than through Jesus Christ. Um, it just gives me a sense of others, caring for people, thinking not less of myself, but thinking of myself less, so to speak, like thinking about other people's needs my faith in Jesus has given me a joy that transcends circumstance. Let's just say that. Like I can be in a heart I can if anything else happened to my heart, if I was in another bad health situation, I feel like it would be a totally different experience now. 'Cause I've grown closer to Christ. And so I just want to tell everyone if you want to know Jesus is your savior, or thinking about it, just realize it's God asks so little of us. I mean, he asks once per se, he wants us to love him and love other people. It's Jesus said, my yoke is easy, my burden is light. Like it's not Jesus is not here to burden us, he's here to lift our burden. So I mean, and if you want that for yourself, just message me, message a pastor, message someone who can tell you more about it, more so than I can in one episode of this show. But and just be encouraged. God's not mad at you no matter what you've been through, no matter what you're dealing with mentally. God loves you and he understands you. And like he understands me when I felt like nobody else could. So that's basically wrapping it up. Fervor, my dear, you can find my music. The best place to find it is on Bandcamp. Because even though I'm streaming on all streaming services, Bandcamp has a couple of exclusive tracks, plus my original album Treasures of the Dark, which was released prior to signing with ADWMR, which is not available anywhere else except Bandcamp. But Fervor, my dear, it can also be found on Spotify, all other streaming services. I also have a website, fervormydear.com, with no comma after Fervor, just fervormydear.com, where you can stay up to date with me or follow me on social media. Fervor My Dear, social media and Instagram pages, Facebook. And I accept almost every friend request I get on my personal Facebook page. So feel free to shoot me a request there if you ever want to chat or just hang out. And yeah, that basically wraps it up.
Oh, you got the author pages too. So
Oh, I do. Yes, I don't have a huge social media following for my authorship. I do have an Instagram page, DZ Crowell Author. Just search for that. And if you go on, I don't have a website yet, but if you go on Amazon and search for DZ Crowell, you can find my 3 books available on Amazon. Like I said, $5 paperbacks or $1 digital downloads. of which I make like 5 cents each because Amazon takes a huge cut. But but hey, I don't do it for money. I just want my books read. So
Right. Well, that's why I figured you'd want to plug them. So,
thank you.
all right, DZ, I appreciate you this evening. Thank you for support for sharing your life with us, sharing
Absolutely.
your trials and tribulations, and the hope that you found from them.
Yes.
So, this is Middle Mike. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, TikTok, and brain just shut off. If I did say Instagram, I don't think, but TikTok, that was the other one. So, everyone, thank you for watching. As always, catch us next week where we have some special guests from my favorite band. Hopefully, we'll see you all soon. Thank you, and have a great evening. DZ, stay online. We'll talk a little more when we're done here.
All right.